The whispers started subtly, like drafts under a palace door. At first, they were mere suspicions, glances exchanged during royal events, a sense of unease that settled over Buckingham Palace like a London fog. But soon, those whispers coalesced into a chilling narrative. Queen Camilla, the woman who had weathered decades of public disapproval to finally stand beside King Charles, was secretly maneuvering to secure the throne for her own bloodline. It all began innocently enough, with the annual Trooping the Color ceremony. The pomp, the circumstance, the carefully orchestrated display of royal unity, it was all there. Prince William, every inch the future king in his military uniform, stood beside his wife Catherine, the Princess of Wales, radiating grace and strength. Their children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, were the picture of Windsor perfection, a living testament to the enduring legacy of the monarchy. But behind the dazzling smiles and waving hands, a storm was brewing. The incident involving Princess Charlotte and Freddie Parker Bowles, Camilla's grandson, was the first crack in the façade. A childish shove, some might say, but those within the palace walls knew better. It was a deliberate act, a calculated move in a much larger game. Charlotte, playing innocently in the garden behind the balcony, was an easy target. Freddie, a teenager with a history of mischief, was the perfect pawn. And Camilla, watching from her comfortable armchair, offered not a word of comfort, only a chillingly dismissive remark about William's children being spoiled. That moment, seemingly insignificant, ignited a fire in William. He had always been wary of Camilla, remembering the pain her relationship with his father had caused his mother, Princess Diana. Now he saw a new threat. Camilla's ambition directed not at him, but at his children, the future of the monarchy. Catherine, fiercely protective of her family, felt it too. This was not a simple playground squabble. It was a declaration of war. The tension was palpable, rippling through the palace like an electric current. Headlines began to appear in the tabloids, hinting at discord behind the royal smiles. William knew that Camilla was behind it, subtly manipulating events to undermine his family. He understood that she saw Catherine as the biggest obstacle to her ambition. Catherine, with her intelligence, her popularity, and her unwavering dedication to her children, was the immovable pillar protecting the next generation. Camilla's ultimate goal was clear: to elevate her own grandchildren within the royal hierarchy. She envisioned a future where her grandson would become a trusted advisor, wielding influence behind the scenes, and her granddaughter would ascend through marriage or other means, carrying the Parker Bowles bloodline into the heart of the monarchy. But to achieve that, she needed to destabilize the foundation, to create doubts about the strength and leadership of Prince George, the heir apparent. And so the secret war began, a slow, insidious campaign of manipulation and deceit waged within the cold stone walls of Buckingham Palace. William and Catherine found themselves facing an enemy within, someone who held the ear of the king and wielded considerable power. They knew that defending their children meant facing Camilla head-on, exposing her machinations and protecting the future of the crown. But could they succeed against such a formidable opponent? Or was this merely the opening act of a greater royal tragedy, one that would test every principle of the monarchy to the breaking point? Camilla, in the gilded cage of Clarence House, wasn't one to back down. The failed balcony stunt only fueled her resolve. She saw Catherine's protective instincts as a weakness, a chink in the armor. If she could rattle Catherine, she reasoned she could get to George. The opportunity presented itself subtly. King Charles, ever the doting grandfather in public, expressed a desire for George to experience a taste of service. Camilla seized on this, whispering in Charles's ear about a specialized program designed to instill discipline and resilience in young leaders. She carefully omitted the brutal details, painting a picture of character-building exercises and historical enrichment. The forged decree was a masterstroke. Charles, preoccupied with affairs of state, wouldn't question a seemingly innocuous order designed to benefit his grandson. And with George's private secretary James Hartley in her pocket, the plan was foolproof. Or so she thought. Those early morning drives to the Royal Army barracks became George's personal hell. The punishing drills, the relentless instructors, the crushing weight of the field pack, it was all designed to break him. He pushed himself to the limit, desperate to live up to his grandfather's expectations, masking his exhaustion and pain from his parents. But Catherine, with her keen maternal intuition, saw through the façade. The dark circles under his eyes, the forced smiles, the subtle changes in his demeanor, they were all red flags. She pressed him gently, her voice filled with concern, and finally, the truth spilled out. William's fury was volcanic. He saw Camilla's hand in this, the same manipulative tactic she had used for years, now directed at his son. He immediately launched an investigation, uncovering the web of deceit that Camilla had carefully constructed. The compromised secretary, the secret payments, the forged documents, it was all there in black and white. Sir Timothy Lawrence's unexpected intervention was a turning point. His outrage at witnessing George's ordeal, his willingness to break protocol and alert William, it was a testament to his integrity and loyalty to the crown. He saw the danger that Camilla posed, the threat she represented to the future of the monarchy. The confrontation with King Charles was inevitable. William presented the evidence laying bare Camilla's treachery. The forged decree, the secret payments, the eyewitness account, it was a damning indictment. Charles, initially in disbelief, was forced to confront the truth. The woman he loved, the woman he had fought to legitimize, had betrayed him in the most profound way. The Royal Honors Day was the stage for Camilla's downfall. The leadership challenge, the missing speech, the carefully orchestrated chaos. It was all part of her plan to elevate her own grandchildren at the expense of the Windsor line. But William, armed with the truth and Catherine's unwavering support, was ready. The recorded voices echoing through the Grand Hall exposed Camilla's machinations for all to see. The stunned silence, the gasps of disbelief, the looks of betrayal, it was a moment of reckoning. Camilla's carefully constructed world crumbled around her, her ambition laid bare for all to judge. The banishment of Camilla's grandchildren was swift and decisive. Their names were erased from the royal record, their faces banished from public view. Camilla, stripped of her power and influence, was confined to Clarence House, a prisoner of her own ambition. But even in exile, Camilla refused to surrender. Her ambition, like a dormant volcano, simmered beneath the surface. She vowed revenge, plotting her next move, determined to see her bloodline ascend to the throne. The battle was far from over. In the aftermath, a fragile peace settled over the House of Windsor, a deceptive calm masking the deep fissures that remained. William and Catherine, hailed as saviors, stepped into their roles with renewed vigor, acutely aware that vigilance was their only weapon. The public adored them, their every move scrutinized and celebrated, a stark contrast to the chilling isolation that enveloped Camilla. Clarence House became her prison, the opulent rooms echoing with the ghosts of her shattered ambitions. She spent her days in a haze of resentment, replaying past events, searching for the missteps that had led to her downfall. The portraits of former royals seemed to mock her, their painted smiles a constant reminder of her failure to secure her own legacy. But Camilla was not one to wallow. The embers of her ambition, carefully stoked, began to glow once more. She focused on her granddaughter Eliza, seeing in her a reflection of her own cunning and determination. Eliza, though banished from the royal circle, possessed a charisma that could not be ignored. Camilla began to groom her, shaping her into a weapon, a secret weapon aimed at the heart of the Windsor dynasty. Under Camilla's tutelage, Eliza transformed. She honed her social skills, mastered the art of manipulation, and learned to project an image of innocence and charm. She became a master of disguise, hiding her true ambitions behind a veneer of sweetness. Camilla drilled her relentlessly, pushing her to excel in everything she did, preparing her for the moment when she could strike. William and Catherine, focused on their public duties and the upbringing of their children, remained largely unaware of Camilla's machinations. They had underestimated her, believing that her exile had neutralized her threat. They failed to see that Camilla's ambition was a force that could not be extinguished, only redirected. Eliza, now a young woman, began to reemerge into society, carefully cultivating relationships with influential figures. She targeted those who felt overlooked or underappreciated by the royal family, those who harbored their own resentments and ambitions. She became a confidant, a sympathetic ear, subtly weaving her way into their lives, gaining their trust and loyalty. Her charm was irresistible, her intelligence undeniable. She presented herself as a victim of circumstance, a young woman unfairly punished for the sins of her grandmother. She played the role of the wronged innocent to perfection, garnering sympathy and support from unexpected quarters. Slowly, Eliza built her own network, a clandestine web of influence that stretched throughout London's elite circles. She learned secrets, collected favors, and positioned herself as a power broker, a force to be reckoned with. Camilla watched with satisfaction, her grand plan slowly taking shape. The storm was brewing, gathering strength beneath the surface. William and Catherine, basking in the glow of public adoration, were oblivious to the danger that lurked in the shadows. The seeds of resentment, planted by Camilla and nurtured by Eliza, were about to sprout, threatening to engulf the House of Windsor in another wave of turmoil. The question wasn't if Eliza would strike, but when and how. And when that moment arrived, the monarchy would face its greatest challenge yet. A challenge from within, orchestrated by a woman who had nothing left to lose, and a granddaughter determined to reclaim what she believed was rightfully hers. The game was far from over. The opportunity came disguised as charity, a glittering gala ostensibly to raise funds for underprivileged children, but in reality a carefully chosen battleground. The patron? None other than Eliza Lopes. Her name, once synonymous with scandal, now adorned invitations sent to London's most elite. William and Catherine, ever mindful of public perception, accepted the invitation. It was a chance to show their commitment to charitable causes, to reinforce their image as compassionate leaders. But a nagging sense of unease lingered, a premonition that this was more than just a philanthropic endeavor. The gala was a spectacle of opulence. Crystal chandeliers cast a dazzling light on the assembled guests, their designer gowns and tailored suits shimmering under the glow. Champagne flowed freely, conversations buzzed with gossip and intrigue, and the air crackled with unspoken rivalries. Eliza, radiant in a stunning emerald gown, moved through the crowd with effortless grace, charming dignitaries and socialites alike. Catherine, ever observant, noticed the subtle nuances. The way Eliza held court, the carefully chosen words, the knowing glances exchanged with certain individuals, it was all meticulously orchestrated. This wasn't the behavior of a repentant outcast. It was the calculated performance of a woman with a hidden agenda. The speeches began, each more saccharine than the last. Eliza took the stage, her voice trembling with emotion as she spoke of her commitment to helping children in need. She painted a picture of herself as a reformed character, a victim who had risen above adversity to dedicate her life to a worthy cause. The audience ate it up, showering her with applause. Then came the bombshell. Eliza announced a new initiative, a partnership with a prominent tech company to develop educational programs for underprivileged youth. The CEO of the company, a man known for his ruthless ambition and questionable ethics, joined her on stage beaming with pride. Catherine recognized him instantly, a man who had been denied a royal honor years ago, a man known to harbor a deep resentment towards the crown. The pieces clicked into place. This wasn't just about charity, it was about power. Eliza was using her newfound influence to align herself with enemies of the monarchy, to build a coalition of dissent. The educational programs were merely a Trojan horse, a way to infiltrate the minds of the next generation, to subtly undermine their faith in the crown. William, his jaw tight with anger, leaned towards Catherine. "She's playing a dangerous game," he whispered. "We need to stop her." Catherine nodded, her eyes hardening with resolve. "She won't succeed," she replied. "We'll expose her for what she is." The battle lines were drawn. William and Catherine, determined to protect the monarchy from Eliza's insidious plot, prepared to strike back. But they knew that this time the stakes were higher than ever before. This wasn't just about power, it was about the future of the crown, the very soul of the nation. The game had entered a new, more dangerous phase. The chessboard was set, the players were in position, and the final act was about to begin. The counterstrike began subtly, almost imperceptibly. Catherine, employing her disarming charm, began to quietly question the tech CEO's business practices, planting seeds of doubt among potential investors and partners. His reputation, already precarious, began to crumble under the weight of scrutiny. William, meanwhile, focused on Eliza's network, discreetly investigating the individuals she had cultivated. He discovered a pattern of disgruntled former employees, jilted lovers, and individuals with compromised pasts, all united by their shared resentment towards the royal family. He compiled a dossier, a damning portrait of Eliza's inner circle, ready to be unveiled at the opportune moment. The palace machinery, once slow and cumbersome, now moved with precision and purpose. Leaks began to appear in the press, carefully curated to expose Eliza's true intentions. Articles questioned the legitimacy of her charity, highlighting the exorbitant administrative costs and the lack of tangible result. Whispers circulated about her close ties to the disgraced tech CEO and his shady dealings. The public, once enamored with Eliza's story of redemption, began to turn against her. The image of the wronged innocent shattered, replaced by the unsettling portrait of a calculating manipulator. Her events were sparsely attended, her phone calls went unanswered, and her carefully constructed network began to unravel. Camilla, watching from her gilded cage, raged at the turn of events. Her grand plan, so meticulously crafted, was collapsing before her eyes. She blamed Eliza for her failures, accusing her of being reckless and impulsive. But deep down, she knew that the fault lay with her own insatiable ambition. Eliza, desperate to salvage her reputation, lashed out. She accused William and Catherine of orchestrating a smear campaign, of using their power to silence her and destroy her work. She granted explosive interviews portraying herself as a victim of the monarchy's ruthless tactics. But her words rang hollow. The evidence against her was overwhelming, the public's trust irrevocably broken. Her attempts to regain control only served to further damage her credibility. She had underestimated the power of the crown, the unwavering loyalty of the British people. The final blow came at a charity auction, an event that Eliza had hoped would revitalize her image. William and Catherine made a surprise appearance, their presence dominating the room. As Eliza prepared to address the crowd, William stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. He praised the work of legitimate charities, emphasizing the importance of transparency and accountability. He then unveiled the dossier, exposing Eliza's network and their hidden agendas. The room fell silent as the truth was revealed, the guests recoiling in horror. Eliza stood frozen, her face pale with shock and disbelief. Her carefully constructed world crumbled around her, her dreams of power and influence dissolving into nothingness. She had been outmaneuvered, outsmarted, and utterly defeated. As William and Catherine left the room, the crowd erupted in applause, their faith in the monarchy restored. Eliza was left standing alone, a pariah, her reputation in tatters. The Parker Bowl's ambition, it seemed, had finally been extinguished. Or had it? The epilogue was yet to be written.